Now, I want to introduce you to somebody right now. Omar Ha-Redeye is one of the lawyers that's volunteering with the Occupy Toronto movement. What did you take out of this afternoon?
There definitely was a lot of back and forth. What I found interesting about this afternoon was the city was refusing to recognize the Section 2 charter rights that were at stake here. The judge pointed out that it's a very low threshold, so you don't need to do a lot in Canada to meet that threshold of freedom of expression. Where I think the city has the strongest case is under Section 1, which is when we talk about the reasonable goals of a democracy. So those rights in the Charter are not absolute, and it's in the goals of a democracy that I think the judge is going to look at the different competing interests and say, you know what, the protest might have to move on.
Okay, what everybody wants to know is where is this heading? I think the judge is going to rule in favor of the city. You say?
That's my inclination as well, based on what I've seen, primarily because I think the occupiers or the protesters are simply a disorganized movement, and they do not provide enough evidentiary information to demonstrate that they have support from the local community and from local businesses, because that's the balance that the judge is looking at as well, is that how do the residents in the area feel about this protest?
You see, Roger, it's okay to claim a position with regards to freedom of expression, but the core of the Occupy Toronto's legal case is that the encampment itself is a symbol of their expression. It's not just the act of them making a statement, but the fact that they have a permanent encampment is a symbol of what they're trying to achieve. It's that kind of amorphous entity that the judge has to technically clarify into law as to whether or not they have the right to express their freedom in this manner. Roger?
It sounds like it would set a dangerous precedent siding with the protesters. I mean, it essentially opens it up for anybody to set up camp in a park if they have what they feel is a legitimate cause.
Early this morning, Justice Brown said exactly that to the protesters. He said, if you do this, does that mean that someone else can occupy a park in the same manner? And if that occurs, where will I ride my bike? That's what the judge said today.
It's very interesting. Now, what about with St. James, with the property owned by the church itself?
Well, you see, this is an interesting one, and I wanna bring my friend Omar into this too. Ha-Redeye. I thought it was very interesting when the city lawyer said we just want to go about our business of managing city property, as is our right and as our legal right. The judge says, well, what is it that you own? Let's talk about what the city owns. I wonder if the church, which owns part of that land at St. James Park, will allow the protesters to stay.
Well, I spoke to some of the city officials yesterday, and my understanding is that although the park is split between the church and the city, there are easements and rights to the property that the city owns that still belong to the church. Now, from what I've seen, the indication of church officials is that if the judge rules against the protesters, they're not going to allow the protesters to remain on church property. So it may just be that Occupy Toronto is going to have to move on to another location.
There you have it, Roger. I think that's the sum total of what we can gather right now.